If canned food disappeared from shelves tomorrow, would you even have enough to feed your family for 7 days? Because with the 2025 grocery inflation spike, canned goods shortages, and price hikes hitting every U.S. store, this is no longer a hypothetical. Canned food sales in the U.S. jumped over 29% this year, and the cheapest items are vanishing first. That means the foods everyone relies on during a crisis may already be slipping out of reach. Today I'll show you the best canned foods to stockpile now, and the 3 you should avoid unless you want metallic mush, wasted money, and a ruined prepper pantry. Every crisis teaches the same lesson. Canned food saves lives. It doesn't need electricity, refrigeration, or even delivery trucks. When everything else stops, canned food keeps going. And after digging into the latest 2025 food supply data, inflation numbers, and shelf-stable food studies, what I found shocked me. Some canned foods can outlast you, others. They turn acidic, metallic, or downright disgusting. So in today's video, you'll discover the 5 best canned food categories to stockpile for long-term survival, the 3 worst cans that break down, taste awful, or simply don't last, what truly lasts forever, and what absolutely does not. And trust me, you want to watch until the end, because one of the bad cans is something almost everyone keeps in their pantry. And hey, before we jump in, drop this in the comments. What have you seen disappearing from shelves in 2025? Prices up, stock low. Tell me in one punchy sentence. If the power goes out, canned food becomes the Beyoncé of the pantry. Always reliable, always ready, and somehow ageless. Food 1. Canned meats. When it comes to survival, nothing beats protein. It's the fuel your muscles run on. It keeps your brain sharp. It stabilizes your energy when stress is high. And if you look at the grocery data from 2024 to 2025, you already know why canned meat is becoming the king of every prepper pantry. Meat shortages hit the U.S. hard last year. Prices jumped. Supply chains slowed. Fresh meat became unpredictable, and many stores even limited purchases during peak months. But canned meat? It stayed on shelves. It stayed stable, and it stayed affordable. That's why this is one of the best canned meat categories you can buy right now. Protein is the #1 survival macronutrient for a reason. When you're tired, cold, stressed, or pushing through a crisis, protein keeps your body functioning. Carbs give quick energy. Fats help long term. But protein is the thing that actually keeps you alive and moving. That's why protein foods for prepping always start with canned meat. It's simple, it's ready to eat, and most importantly, it lasts. Let's break down the best ones, starting with the classic, canned chicken. It's cheap, mild, and mixes with anything: rice, pasta, tortillas, soups. Anything you throw at it works. It's not gourmet, but it's real chicken, real protein, and real calories that matter when times are tough. Next up, Spam. Love it or hate it, it has a loyal fan base. And honestly, Spam is the food equivalent of that friend you swear you don't like. Yet they always show up when you need them. It survives anything. It cooks fast, it stores forever, and in an emergency, flavor is flavor. Corned beef hash is another prepping superstar. It's a full meal in one can. Meat, potatoes, fam malt, all ready to heat or eat cold. If you want comfort food during chaos, this one hits the spot. Then we have the classics, tuna and sardines. They're packed with omega-3s, minerals, and long shelf life protein that hardly breaks down over time. Tuna stays good for decades. Sardines are basically nutrition bombs in a tiny can. They look scary to some people, but the nutrition is unbeatable. And don't forget canned turkey. It's similar to chicken, but richer. It's perfect for stews, casseroles, and big calorie meals that keep you full. The best part, canned meat lasts indefinitely as long as the can is not damaged. No oxygen, no bacteria, no spoilage. USDA research shows that canned meats remain safe and nutritionally stable for 10 plus years, often far longer. The flavor softens, texture changes. But the food stays edible, safe, and nutritious. When you talk about value, survival, and long-term stability, canned meat gives you everything in one simple metal can. Number 2, canned vegetables. When people build a prepper pantry, they usually chase protein, beans, tuna, chili. But if you overlook canned vegetables, you're missing one of the cheapest and most nutrient-dense survival foods you can buy. What most people don't realize is that canned veggies retain 90 to 95% of their original nutrition, sometimes even more than fresh produce that's been sitting in trucks, warehouses, and store shelves for days. In an emergency, when vitamins and minerals matter more than fancy meals, canned vegetables quietly become MVPs. Let's talk about the best options to stock up on. The classics like green beans, peas, and corn are inexpensive, long-lasting, and packed with fiber and micronutrients your body will rely on during stress or limited calorie days. Even better, mixed vegetables give you a full nutritional spread. Carrots, potatoes, peas, green beans in a single can. For preppers on tight budgets or large families trying to stretch meals, these are some of the most efficient calories dollar for dollar. Now, a lot of people panic about the sodium content in canned food. Yes, canned vegetables can be salty, but during a crisis, that's not a bad thing. Salt helps maintain hydration, electrolyte balance, and energy levels, especially when you're sweating, rationing water, or dealing with physical stress. And if you want less sodium, just drain and rinse. Boom, problem solved. Canned veggies are also extremely versatile. You can eat them cold right out of the can if the power goes out, or heat them up on a camp stove, grill, or even over a candle in a pinch. They're perfect for bulking up rice, pasta, soups, stews, casseroles, anything that makes your limited food supply stretch further. A single can can turn a bland survival meal into something that actually tastes like real food. Most importantly, canned vegetables are budget friendly. When you're prepping for a family of 4 or more, every dollar counts. Buying cheap canned vegetables now means you can build a bigger pantry without draining your bank account. And the shelf life? Often 3 to 5 years, sometimes longer if stored correctly. And let's be honest, canned peas taste better during a crisis, mainly because stress makes everything taste gourmet. For anyone building a smart, affordable prepper pantry, canned vegetables are a must-have. Item 3. Canned soups and stews. If there's one canned food that becomes pure gold in an emergency, it's canned soups and stews. These are complete meals in a can. Protein, vegetables, carbs, and hydration all in one package. When you're stressed, tired, or dealing with blackout conditions, the last thing you want is complicated cooking. Soups and stews are the closest thing to open and survive. One of the biggest advantages of canned soups is that they already contain liquid. That means you get built-in hydration when water might be limited. Even better, soups retain nutrients extremely well because everything cooks and seals inside the can. You're not losing vitamins to evaporation or overcooking. Everything stays right where you need it. Best options to stock up on: chicken noodle, beef stew, vegetable soup, chili-style soups, cream-based soups, 4 calories, hearty, chunky varieties. Chunky or hearty soups are especially useful because they're higher in calories and protein, critical when you're burning extra energy moving gear, boiling water, or staying warm without power. Just like with canned vegetables, people worry about sodium. But again, in disaster scenarios, sodium is your friend, not your enemy. It helps with hydration, prevents dizziness, and replaces electrolytes lost during physical activity. In survival, low-sodium diets usually go out the window. If you truly need to reduce salt, you can always dilute soups by adding rice, pasta, or potatoes, turning one can into multiple servings. Canned stews are even better for long-term emergencies. They're thick, filling, and packed with slow-burning carbs and fats that keep you energized longer. Beef stew, for example, can keep you full for hours with very little cooking. Just heat if you can, or eat cold if you must. Soups and stews are also incredibly flexible. You can pour them over rice, mix with canned veggies, add instant potatoes, or combine 2 different cans to stretch meals even further. A few cheap additions can turn a $1.50 can into a full meal for 2. And of course, there's always that moment in every crisis where morale matters more than calories. Nothing boosts spirits like a warm bowl of soup when the world feels cold and chaotic. For budget preppers and families trying to stretch every dollar, canned soups and stews are one of the smartest and most comforting foods you can store. Number 4, canned beans. Canned beans are one of the most underrated survival foods ever made. In the prepping world, they're often called a survival superfood, and for good reason. They give you protein, carbs, and fiber all in one cheap, shelf-stable can. In a crisis, that combination keeps your energy steady, your stomach full, and your body running like a machine. When fresh food disappears and meats get expensive, beans quietly become the backbone of every prepper pantry. One of the biggest advantages of canned beans is their incredible longevity. Properly stored, they can last 10 years or more, and many preppers report eating canned beans even after a decade with no issues. The canning process locks everything in: nutrients, flavor, and moisture, so you don't have to soak or boil anything for hours like you would with dry beans. Just open, heat, and eat. Or skip the heating part entirely if your power is out. They're one of the few foods that give you complete nutrition with zero effort. Some types are especially useful for emergencies. Black beans are rich in antioxidants and taste great with rice or spice mixes. Kidney beans are filling, hearty, and perfect for stretching meals. Chili beans already come seasoned, which saves you time and adds flavor when supplies are limited. And baked beans are a prepper favorite because they're high in calories and have a naturally long shelf life thanks to their sweet, thick sauce. When you're exhausted, a can of baked beans can feel like a full meal from a restaurant. Beans also deliver something most emergency foods lack: fiber. That might not sound exciting, but trust me, during stressful situations and limited diets, your digestive system needs all the help it can get. Beans keep you full longer, stabilize blood sugar, and help you use fewer cans per meal. That means your food supply stretches further without feeling like you're starving. Another reason beans shine is versatility. You can throw them into chili, rice bowls, canned soups, pasta dishes, or even mix with canned meat to build complete meals. They blend with almost everything, and a single can can transform bland emergency food into something comforting and satisfying. And yes, the joke writes itself. Beans can feed you, fuel you, and absolutely destroy the room's air quality at the same time. But in a crisis, that's a small price to pay for a reliable, nutritious, and affordable food source that works in every scenario. When it comes to cheap, long-lasting, high-protein prepping foods, canned beans remain one of the smartest stockpiles you can build. Number 5. Soups and chili. Canned soups and chili deserve a permanent spot in every prepper pantry because they deliver something most survival foods can't: comfort. When you're cold, stressed, exhausted, or sick, soup hits differently. It gives your body warmth, hydration, electrolytes, and easy calories all in one simple can. And in an emergency, that combination can make the difference between staying strong and burning out fast. One of the biggest advantages of soup is how useful it is during sickness. When your immune system is struggling and your appetite disappears, heavy foods feel impossible to eat. But a warm bowl of chicken noodle or tomato soup goes down easily and gives you sodium, fluids, and quick energy. Even cold, right out of the can, it still offers hydration and nutrients. When water is limited, this built-in liquid becomes a lifesaver. That's something freeze-dried meals will never match without boiling water. Soups are also incredibly budget-friendly. You can buy them cheap, store them for years, and use them in dozens of ways. Tomato soup works as a base for pasta dishes. Chunky soups can be poured over rice to stretch meals. Lentil soup gives you protein and fiber without costing more than $1. For families prepping on a tight budget, soups are one of the easiest ways to build a well-rounded, long-lasting emergency stash. Another perk is variety. Food fatigue is real, especially during long emergencies. Eating the same bland meals day after day destroys morale. With soups, you can rotate flavors and textures so meals stay interesting. Chunky beef stew one night, lentil the next, chili the next. That variety keeps people eating, and eating keeps people strong. Chili deserves a special shout out because it's one of the highest protein canned meals out there. It's thick, filling, flavorful, and energizing. One can fuel you for hours, especially when you add rice, cornbread mix, or canned potatoes. Chili also stores extremely well and often tastes even better after long shelf time because the spices intensify. The best soup types to stockpile are the ones that balance comfort with calories. Chunky soups keep you full. Tomato-based soups stretch into sauces and bases. Lentil soups bring steady protein and fiber. Chicken noodle gives you electrolytes, hydration, and a familiar taste when stress is high. And of course, there's the truth every prepper knows. Soup is the emotional support animal of canned food, always there when everything else falls apart. It's warm, reliable, and always ready to calm the chaos, one spoonful at a time. 3 canned foods to avoid or stock with caution. Not every canned food belongs in a long-term survival pantry. Some cans store beautifully for decades, while others start breaking down, turning weird, or developing that unpleasant metallic taste much faster. These foods aren't dangerous, but they can disappoint you when you finally need them. Here's what to avoid or store with caution so you don't waste money or end up opening a can that tastes like it came from the inside of a toolbox. The first food that deserves a warning label is canned fruit. People love stocking it because it's sweet, refreshing, and offers a quick boost of energy. But the problem isn't the fruit, it's the acidity. High-acid foods slowly react with the can over time, even with modern protective linings. After a few years, that perfect peach starts tasting like you dipped it in loose change. It's still safe, but the metallic flavor can ruin the experience. Canned fruit is great for short-term emergencies, but for true prepping, it sits best in the 1 to 5 year range. Rotate it often and don't push it too far past its date unless you're okay with citrus-flavored metal surprise. Next on the caution list is canned tomatoes. These have the exact same acidity problem, only worse. Tomatoes are one of the most reactive foods in the canned world. Given enough time, their natural acid eats into the lining and creates a strong metallic taste, especially after long-term storage. The good news? They're almost always still edible. But opening a 10-year-old can of tomatoes is a gamble between perfect sauce base and metallic spaghetti sadness. Keep tomatoes in your pantry, but rotate them aggressively. Use them for sauces, soups, chili, and pasta. Just don't treat them as 20-year survival items. The last big caution item is evaporated milk. Out of all canned foods, this one breaks down the fastest. The fats inside separate, the texture turns grainy or chunky, and the smell, well, let's just say you won't forget it. Evaporated milk is helpful for baking and adding calories, but as a long-term prep, it's unreliable. A much better option is powdered milk, which stores far longer and stays stable even in hot conditions. Plus, powdered milk doesn't suddenly transform into something that looks like cottage cheese in a can. And yes, evaporated milk ages faster than politicians and smells about the same once it goes bad. These three foods aren't bad, but they simply don't age like canned meat, beans, or soup. Store them smart, rotate them often, and you'll avoid some of the most common emergency pantry mistakes that catch new preppers off guard. How to store canned food for 30 plus years. Most people think canned food only lasts a few years, but with the right storage methods, you can stretch that shelf life far beyond what the label shows. In fact, many preppers keep cans for 20, 25, even 30 plus years and still find them perfectly edible. The secret isn't the can, it's the conditions you store it in. A can is basically a tiny vault. Treat it right and it protects your food for decades. The first and most important rule is temperature control. Canned food lasts the longest when stored under 85 degrees Fahrenheit and ideally around 50 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Heat is the #1 enemy of shelf-stable food. Every 10 degrees increase accelerates chemical breakdown, flavor loss, and nutrient decline. If your pantry runs hot in the summer, think about shifting your storage to a basement under a bed or any cool corner of the house. The cooler the space, the longer your cans stay fresh. Next, avoid freezing conditions. People forget that liquid expands when frozen, and if your cans sit in a garage or shed during winter, extreme cold can cause microcracks, swelling, or weakened seals. Even if the can doesn't burst, the integrity is compromised. Always store long-term food indoors, away from temperature swings. Rotation is another simple but powerful habit. Preppers call it FIFO, first in, first out. Use the oldest cans first and replace them with new ones. This keeps your stock fresh, avoids forgotten cans in the back of a shelf, and ensures you're always eating through your supply instead of letting it gather dust for 15 years. It also helps you track what your family actually eats, so you store foods that won't go to waste. Label every can with a Sharpie. Write the purchase date or best buy date in big, clear numbers. This makes rotation easy and gives you a visual snapshot of your pantry timeline. When pressure is high or the lights are out, you don't want to squint at tiny printed dates. Finally, buying by the case saves money and simplifies storage. Case boxes stack neatly, protect cans from light and dense, and often cost less per can. Grocery stores, warehouse clubs, and even local discount shops run case sales throughout the year. When you find a deal, stock up. Your future self will thank you. Canned food is one of the most reliable items in any prepper pantry, and with smart storage, it becomes a long-term asset that can last decades. This is how you build a 2025 emergency food guide that stands the test of time. Canned food is the unsung hero of every prepper pantry. From protein-packed meats to fiber-rich beans, versatile vegetables, and comforting soups and chili, these shelf-stable staples keep you fed, energized, and ready for anything. With proper storage, rotation, and smart shopping, you can build a supply that lasts decades, even through shortages, inflation, and supply chain chaos in 2025 and beyond. But remember, not all cans are created equal. Acidic fruits, tomatoes, and evaporated milk need extra caution, while meats, beans, veggies, and soups give you long-term nutrition you can rely on. The key to survival isn't just buying food. It's buying smart, storing it right, and having variety to prevent fatigue. If you found this guide helpful, don't let it sit on the shelf. Smash that like button, share your prepper tips in the comments, and hit subscribe to join a community of smart, prepared preppers. I want to hear from you. Which canned food are you stocking the most in 2025? Are prices spiking in your area? Drop it in one short sentence below. Your experience could save someone else from a pantry disaster. Stay stocked, stay safe, and never underestimate the power of a simple can.